All right. Good afternoon. It's Jen here with another Tech Tips 411 summer PD session. And today we're going to be talking about project ideas for G Suite. So the goal of my session today is just to kind of share some projects I've done with students and things that you might want to try with your learners. So for those of you that I have not met before and you just stumbled across this video, my name is Jennifer Hall and I'm an educational technology specialist for Atlanta Public Schools. What that means is that I provide technology training for teachers and work with teachers to create engaging lessons to engage their diverse learners. So if we haven't already connected, I'm on you can connect with me, APSIT Jen. It's my Twitter handle and a bunch of other information I will share at the end of this session. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the goals of our session today are we're going to explore projects using G Suite apps. So I'm going to talk about some that I've already implemented with students and talk about some, and hopefully through doing that, you're going to gain some project ideas for utilizing G Suite apps as well. So the apps that I'm going to talk about today, we're going to talk about Google Drawings, slides, a little bit about Jamboard, and also ways that you can use Google Docs. So let's dive right in. So the first project I want to talk about, and I'm super excited, this was actually something that I did with a 6th grade science class as their end of the year project. And we used Google Slides to create stop motion animations. And it was super easy and a lot of fun. This is actually the example that I made for students in terms of showing them different scenes that they might create. So the project was that the students had to, I did mine on non-renewable energy, so they wouldn't mimic what I did, but they would use it as an inspiration. Their task was to take renewable energy resources and create 2 scenes and provide 4 facts. So each of the scenes had to have 2 facts on it about what they learned, and they had to depict something about it. So the examples that I provided were obviously with petroleum and using it for, gasoline for buses and planes and everything. So this first scene that you're seeing right here, I actually created as an example to show them how you could make the oil. And then I created the car. So that's strictly from shapes and was created in Google Slides. And then you animate it. And I'll show you how you do that here in a second. What's pretty cool though, is these next 2 scenes were ones I did in about 5 minutes when I was demoing for them how they might want to create their scenes. Now, caveat, I need to explain that the students I worked with for this project, I'd already done a project earlier in the year on Google Drawings. And so they had some design experience and we'd already used Google Drawings to create planet posters. And I'm going to show you that project too. So they had that kind of under their belt, which helped them create their individual animations. And this was a really cool project for us to implement during virtual learning because I did a virtual lesson with the kids and then they created the projects and we had like a help session where the kids came back and showed us their stuff and we tweaked it. The teacher and I worked with them. So here's an example one that was submitted. And this is what blew me away was this young man took the concept and went, wait, if like everything that I put on a separate slide is going to be what comes in on my next scene, he actually did the typing. And then he kind of went a little fast in some things. But remember, 6th grade here, I was pretty impressed. They got the idea of the water moving and that the water comes from the, underground and how it starts. Look at this. This is so cool. He created the hydro electric wheel. So super, super cool. And he used this typing concept, which I didn't show him that. He figured out how to do it. And I thought that was super cool. So in order to do something that simple, there's actually embedded in this presentation is an edited version of the lesson I did with students. So if you wanted to watch it, you can. It kind of walks you through the whole process. But really quickly, I'm just going to show you how simple it is to do this. So slides.new. And if you didn't know that little hack that when you type in I'm going to change over here. If you didn't know the hack of adding in a, to just go straight to a slides, you can say, hey, just do slides new. So I'm actually going to grab this application window right here. There we go. You just type in slides.new and it brought me to, so I'll do it again. It took me to the slides presentation. So all you're doing is, I'm just going to use my Bitmoji for this purpose because it makes it pretty easy. But your students would be able to go out and grab an image or images. And this is really cool if you're using Discovery Education and you want to pull in images from Discovery Education, you can do that, or another media source that you want to bring in images. But for the purpose of this, I'm just going to bring in this one here and I'll do a waving one. And I'm just going to paste it in here. So how it works is that, oops, let's do this. Should have just dragged it. working on 2 screens at once and managing a stream is super fun. So let's just drag that. There we go. So I've got my waving Genmoji in here. So what I might want to do so that it looks like she's moving across, I could just duplicate this and just move it over so many steps or down. So I did down. We're going to do it again. Duplicate it. Move it down just a little bit right there. So the idea is that for each one, notice I'm moving in the scene. So it's super easy to bring in images, or in the case that the project I did with the 6th graders was everything had to be original. So that's really leveling up. But then once I've got my scenes, I've only got a handful of these, but I could actually duplicate these so that I have more. Okay. And then all you got to do is go to publish to the web, and it's going to say, I got to give it a name. All right. And I'm going to go to publish to the web. So I'm doing this all with inside of Google Slides. So I'm going to go to, I want to auto advance the slides, and it's going to say the slowest you can go, or the fastest you can go is 1 second. So I'm going to click publish. But what you're going to do, so you can adjust that time. So 1,000, if I change that to 500, all right, so I'm going to copy that link, copy the whole thing. Let's make sure we grab the whole thing. I'm going to paste it into a new window. And I'm going to change that 1,000 there to 500. And when I do that, it's going to put it into presentation mode. And it's going to automatically, when I hit play, it's going to move it automatically. Now, all I did was go up and down on the screen. But imagine if you had, for example, the one that I had, which was the bus going across, the plane taking off, the oil moving. So you saw it was simple. Just add in some images. You just duplicate your slide and move it just a little bit on each one, and then publish it and adjust the timing. So those instructions to how to do that, there's like a how-to. This whole thing, this is me introducing it to the students, is available inside of this presentation. And I'll put the link in the description of the video too, in case you want to check it out. So the next thing that I love doing is using Google Slides to do cartoons. So this is an example of a cartoon all about what I do as an ETS. I often get asked, so Jen, what exactly do you do? And how can you support me? And so I created this cartoon, and I did this as a model for teachers to be able to create cartoons with their students. So for example, in ELA, you could create cartoons to retell the story of the main events, showing the setting and showing what's happening to the characters. So this is actually different slides. I put it all here together. So this is actually 8 slides. Each of them are different scenes. Of course, I use my Genmoji, but I brought in obviously to show different settings and to show kind of a day in the life of me as an ETS, like how I do trainings and how I push in to work with teachers and all of that kind of good stuff. And what you can do then is after they've created it, it can be exported. Let me go back here. It's going to see if it's going to play. Go back one more. There we go. So this is actually an animated GIF that's playing it so you can watch the cartoon. So you can use the animation feature inside of slides, or you can actually use another tool called Tall Tweets. And if you're not familiar with it, I'm going to put the link to the description in there as well. So as you can see, easy to create cartoons. So I know a lot of people use tools like Storyboard That, which I love Storyboard That, but this is a free tool using your Google Slides. You can bring in images. And what's really cool is here, I'm going to go back to my slides option here. So if I was wanting to add to this for my cartoon, and I don't even want to animate it, I just want to make it a cartoon, I can go here to you. I can add videos, but I want to add, let's go here. I want to insert an image. And what's great is as a student, I don't have to leave my Google Slides. I can actually search right here, and it's going to be appropriate for me to search right here. So if I want to search for school, so I could bring in any of these backgrounds and put myself there. But if I put in school and I put in clip art in my search, it's going to give me animated, not animated, but it's going to give me cartoon-like background. So maybe if I want to add that in there, I'm going to insert that. And I can now add this to the background and just order it. So send it to the back. So now just that simply, I've already got a background. I've got my cartoons in there. And then because I'm using slides, I have the option of going up here and using their different shapes, and they have call outs. So already they've got it built in for me to do different. If I'm doing thinking bubbles, if I'm doing speaking, I'm doing a conversation, I've got different characters. And this is built in to Google Slides. So I can now go in here and add my text. And I cannot type. I say that every time. And I can go in and format this if I want. So I want to make this bigger. And I love this new option of the incremental changes up here on Slides. I don't know if anybody's seen that yet. Before you used to just do the drop down, but now you can do it one pixel size at a time just to see if it's just right. There we go. If I want to make this a little bigger so the welcome fits, there we go. I've now got my, all right, let's let it think. Let's move you out of the way. There we go. So I can go in, I can color this, I can jazz it up. So now I'm just like that, I'm creating a comic, and it's super easy to do. And because your students most likely are using Google Slides to create presentations, just think of it as each slide counts as a frame in your comic. Because when I go to print this, I have the option of how many pages per sheet. So I can make it be a 4x4 or 6. So now there I go. I've got my comic right there. So if you say you get 6 slides to create your story, you can easily do that. Okay. So that is creating comics using Google Slides. So questions, comments, thoughts so far. So far we've seen 2 things right now. Oh, I love this. I gotta thank you, Tara Lee. I love this. Love catching these tutorials live on your noon hour. I'm glad I can be your lunchtime entertainment. And I love that this has made it all the way up to my Canadian friends up there. This is awesome. So let's take a look at some other project ideas we got here. So those first 2 are slides. Now let's talk about drawings. So I absolutely love Google Drawings. I use Google Drawings all the time to create so many different things. It's great for graphic organizers, to make interactive posters. You can also use it for comic strips so that everything's on one page. You just would need to provide the students a template, or they would need to create a template in order to have it be like that. You know, they've got 4 boxes or 6 boxes or what options. Obviously, it's great for infographics, to annotate images. And that's the other cool thing, is you can bring it in for lab activities and have students annotate on top of cells, or it's great for social studies for annotating maps and so forth. Great for creating timelines, because you can set the space to be so large that you can have ongoing timelines. We're going to take a look at that. Obviously, it's great for digital manipulatives, so you can even have your students create games. I saw someone post earlier about, is there a game site where I can, log on and we can play a collaborative game? Well, how about this? Challenge your students to create the board game in Google Drawings, and you make that be the manipulative, so everyone can actually jump in and participate in that Google Drawing. So great for newsletters, which I use Google Drawings for my weekly tech tips that I send out. It's great for memes. It's got some photo editing capability to change up some things in photos. Great for an interactive whiteboard, and there's just all sorts of options. So here's one of the projects that I think is super cool, and I've been doing this project for a number of years. And it's creating planet posters. So I partnered, same 6th grade science teacher. Actually, there was a team of them. All 4 of the teachers on the team used to have the students create NASA-inspired planet posters. But we had a lot of students that would struggle with the drawing, because I'll admit, I can't draw, but I'm pretty good with creating things digitally, because it's, to me, I can visualize it once. I can put a shape on a page and things like that. So we set the challenge that we would introduce Google Drawings and give it a try. So this has been going on for the last 4 years. It amazes me every year. The kids blow my mind with what they come up with. So actually over here, this is from the first year that I did this project. We went in cold. The kids had never seen Google Drawings before. They didn't know it was a hidden tool in their Google Drive. And I just showed them how to create shapes, to create, basic elements on planets, and then let them fly. And that's what's really cool about giving students these creativity tools and saying, I kind of have, I want you to do something in this realm, but don't put them in a box and see what they come up with. So this is actually over here on the left, this Neptune one was done after our session this year. And I was just blown away with just the way she visualized it, and actually her planet. She built the entire planet out, but only what's on this box is what's going to show. So it's just a really, really cool look. Here's a couple of other examples from this most recent couple of projects with these kids. And again, sixth graders going in with a blank canvas and saying, all right, guys, create something. And some of them were very, simplistic with their graphic design, and others were very creative. Look at this. He created his own little NASA astronaut and put him on the moon. And then this Kepler one I think is so cool because of the elements, the coloring, and then even creating their own rocket. They didn't just pull in clip art. They said, okay, I saw this rocket and I want to create it. And they did it as an original drawing. So also embedded in this presentation, and I'm going to include it, the link to this as well, is my entire introduction. So I've edited down what was an hour-long class that I did with these students, and I did it 4 times in a day. So I think I saw 16 classes that day. It walks you through this, and what's really cool is you're welcome to use this video to introduce this project to your students and say, hey guys, this is kind of what we're doing. And in the video, I walk through exactly how to do this. But if you're not familiar with Google Drawings, we're going to hop over there real quick. And we're going to add a drawing. So what's really cool is Google Drawings is available in your G Suite apps. A lot of teachers don't know that it's there because it's kind of hidden. So I'm going to go down here to New, and I'm going to go to More, and that's where they hide the good stuff. That's where Google Forms, and most teachers have used that, but a lot of teachers didn't realize here's what's Google Drawings. So we're going to open it up, and it's going to give us this blank canvas, and that's where the power is of using Google Drawings. It's a blank canvas that can be resized to any page size that I want. So I can go down here and I can say page setup, and it starts out as a 4x3. Think of what's on your piece of paper as a 4x3. But if I go down here, I can make it widescreen, 16:9 or 16:10, or I can do custom. So I always tell students that if you want it to be like a piece of paper, that's going to be 8.5 by 11 inches. And choose whether you want it portrait or landscape. And now I've got a piece of paper I can draw. What's really cool though is I can make this as large or as small as I want. So if I need it to be smaller for just a logo I'm creating, or if I want it to be ginormous for a timeline, I can do that as well. So I'm just going to call this Genmoji right here, give it a title. And now I can add in all of these elements. I've got all of these lines and I can do some drawing, which is cool. Now, all of these same tools are available inside of slides. But a lot of students like to play around in drawings and create it and then bring it in. Now, the advantage of being able to do this is that I can export this as a PDF. So if I put interactive hyperlinks in here, I can do that. I can do it as a JPEG, a PNG, or I can design things as an SVG, which is a scalable vector graphic. And what that means is no matter how small or how large I make it, it's going to look good. And that comes in handy if you're designing, if you have students designing logos for your clubs or t-shirts or fundraiser type things, they can do that. And it's pretty cool to create an SVG. So here's my blank canvas. Now you might be wondering, okay, why would I do drawings versus slides? If you'll notice, I don't have anything taking up the real estate over here. I've got options here. I can put whatever I want outside the canvas. So that's how I can make an interactive, but only what's going to be printable or downloadable as that image will be here. So it's really cool to make it for interactive things. And in slides, you're losing all that real estate because you've got your slides over here. So that's kind of, if you know you only need one page, no matter, or one canvas, you're going to want to take a look at Google Drawings. So you can just as easily add in shapes. Let's go grab a Genmoji. Always want to do that. Let's see here. I love this one here. Is this thing on? Here I am in front of the mic. I'm hoping everybody's listening, tuning in, and getting some ideas here. So let's take a look here. So maybe I want to change this and modify this. So I've got my, is this thing on? Notice there was I want to put a circle in here. So students can really kind of take things and edit them and modify them. And I'm going to put a little circle here. I'm going to put it inside here. I'm going to get it to fit pretty close. And not too bad. It's going right to the edge there. Now we're going to fill that with white so that you don't see it. Get rid of that transparent line. And let's see here. I was close. I got that one little part right there. We're going to go up just a little bit more. Okay. And if I want to, I can make this be the new line on the outside. So I can make that. Modify it a little bit more, but now I can insert word art. And remember, I said I can't type. There we go. Happy Monday. Oh, that's not going to fit. So I'm going to go here. So I can just play around and modify this. Let's get this Happy Monday in here. Right here. And obviously I can fine tune this and jazz it up so the lines match up and everything, but you get the idea. So this is blank canvas. Now what's nice is it's already transparent. So that means if I were to export this right now without doing anything else, it's going to be, and I do it as a PNG, that's going to be a clear background, which means now I can put this anywhere else I want and lay it onto other elements that I'm creating. So that's the benefit, is it automatically, you can see this checkerboard, that means it's transparent. But if I wanted to, I can change the background. Maybe I want to go with the blue so it goes with what I'm wearing. There you go. Obviously, you need to clean up this little circle here, play around with a little bit more, or you could also even just overlay a whole new bubble using the bubble shape. So you got some options there. So again, I think that Google Drawings is such a cool tool. Here's another example. I worked with a 6th grade social studies class, and their task was that they had to create a travel poster for the countries they had been studying in Europe. And the requirements from the teacher were that it had to obviously identify with the name of the country. It had to have a tagline on it, and it had to have some sort of element. Either it was a physical feature, like a geographic physical feature, or something that indicated where you were traveling to. And so this was an example of one that I created for the students for traveling to England. So as you can see, it's got, England on it. We've got Big Ben, the bus, the phone booth, and of course the Keep Calm. And usually it's Keep On and Carry On is a famous poster that was from England after World War II. Or at the end of World War II, and I just customized it to say Visit London. So this was my example, and then the kids came up with amazing, cool things. So just another way to bring it in. So we did graphic organizers in social studies where the kids created posters on the different tribes that they learned about in Africa, about the different religions that they learned about in Africa, around the different religions they learned about around the world. That was 7th grade social studies. So lots of cool options of way you can use drawings. And the best part is that when you're using drawings, is that they can be collaborative. So if you're having students work, and this goes for all Google tools, which makes Google so powerful, is that I started on this, but maybe I want some feedback, or maybe I want one of my colleagues to help me with it, so I can just as easily share this and let somebody else work with it as well. Or maybe I just want my classmate to just give me some feedback and say, hey, Jen, I like this, or the color doesn't work, or that doesn't make sense, and collaborate on it. So when we worked on the slides project where the kids were using, they're doing the renewable energy, they shared them with each other so they could get some feedback, and they shared them with us as well. So that's the other thing, the real-time collaboration. And let's be honest, right now, we don't know what it's going to look like when we get back to school. So we got to be thinking about projects that can be real-time working together, elbow partners in a classroom setting, or projects that are going to be collaborative from, a distance. Okay. I love it. Thank you. Barbara says, I am loving all of this. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So let's take a look at some other options here of ways to use Google Drawings. One of my other personal favorites is to create memes. I don't know about you, but the memes have been all about and all around for social media, and teaching students what a meme is and how to be a critical thinker with using 1, an image, and 2, just a subtle tagline can be very powerful. To me, that's higher level critical thinking. So what you might want to do is check out this template. Again, the description, the link to the template will be in the description. I did it in drawings. You could also do it in slides so that you could have every kid contribute their meme. But this first one is in drawings. And I just think this is super powerful, super slick. You bring in an image. So if you had a task like famous people and have them, you can have the students create all different topics, basically, historical figures, historical events, or anything like that. So maybe pull in images from Discovery Education or PBS Learning Media or anywhere else. They could Google it, and then you have them provide a little commentary. And to me, that's high-level critical thinking. And I love it. Melanie says, this is awesome. Do you have these often? And I think you're referring to these live PD streams. Yeah, I'm doing them every day at 2 p.m. I started, I guess, a week and a half ago, and we'll be running until the 19th, and then I'll be on summer vacation. But yes, thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you found this one today. Also, did I also do the greeting card poster also with drawings? Yes. So the one that I did about the travel poster, yes. And looking at this, I know Miss Ortegon, she's one of my awesome world language teachers. That would be a really cool project for you to have students create a travel poster for a different Spanish speaking country. Just a thought. And if you like that idea, let me know and we can talk. We can plan on that. All right. Love it. Okay, so here's another one that I think is really cool. This is using Google Drawings to create like a Padlet experience in terms of having a collaborative workspace for your students. And you can have your students create different designs for this as well. So that maybe it's going to be colors or themes based on what your school or class climate is. But again, this right here is this middle let's see, Miss Ortegon says every weekday until the 19th, Friday the 19th. I work until the 21st, but I don't have anything scheduled on that day. I figured by Monday, y'all will be done. You'll be tired of hearing me talk after 3 weeks. But thank you. And I'm seeing so many of my teachers tune in, and I'm also seeing teachers just from around the globe, which is awesome. The reason I'm doing this is real time. If you can make it, great. If not, you can go back and check it out. So if you're watching this from the future, thank you for tuning in. So I love this collab pad because right here is the workspace. This is the canvas, but look, I was able to add these elements out here on the outside. So you can do that as well. So the next tool I want to talk about, which I think is really, really cool. Okay. Miss Hopkins says, where are the links? As soon as I finish this session, I will put all the links in the description of the video. Yep, I will post all of the videos in the link in the description shortly after we wrap. Okay, they'll be there. I promise. All right, so this next one here is using my new. Look at this. I even got someone. Oh, I got it. This is just so cool because, like I said, traveling from around the world. Look at this. Hello from North Dakota, Carla. So good to see you. This is awesome. We got all sorts of folks from all over the place. And Miss Ortegon, so put that on the calendar. We're going to plan. We're going to do that. We're going to do that project with your Spanish students. So Jamboard. I don't know how many of you guys are using Jamboard. It's probably one of my new favorite things because hello, it's free, it's googly, and it's super cool because you can do all sorts of fun stuff. So let's go to Jamboard, and Jamboard is jamboard.google.com. If you didn't know what it is, you have access to all these different activities. Or excuse me, it's an interactive whiteboard. So you could actually have your students create interactive activities for each other, which is kind of cool. So you could have them set up to do math reviews, to do annotation tasks on map skills, or for science, for lab skills, for cells and things like that. Because what's cool is, so I have a couple of different ones here. We did an activity on assessment the other day for a training I did, but this is actually the types of energy one that I created. But what you could do is challenge your kids to come up with these activities. So you could break them up into groups and they could make the interactive tasks. So this one is on sorting renewable versus non-renewable sources. So I can actually now use Jamboard. If you're not familiar with Jamboard, it does have a writing utensil, so I could actually doodle on it. Okay. There's my eraser because I'm terrible at doodling. I can also use this undo button, which is really cool. And I can go down here and select, so I can move these elements around and I can resize them as well. And again, I can do that undo if I want to go, oops, put that back. And then I've also got the option of using these sticky notes. So I can add sticky notes and be, I love renewable. Again, remember, can't type. There we go. All right. I love renewable energy. I can pick the color I want because I think green is good. And there we go. Now I can add in a post-it note. I can add multiple ones. So you can have your students add post-it notes as this, or they can go ahead and create the post-it notes and then have the task could be to partner with somebody and then have them do matching tasks and so forth, which I think is pretty cool. The other thing is I can add in images. They can be local images. I can even do a Google image search. So actually all the images you see here are ones I searched on for Google and I just put in my search terms. Now, the other thing down here is this little laser pointer that it's supposed to kind of highlight when I point, but I'm actually, you won't see it right now because I'm using my special cursor mount, pointer, but super, super cool. Now, one of the things that you cannot do, and supposedly it's coming, fingers crossed, when I read the updates coming for Google products, they are looking at adding a text option to be able to add text. So you can't actually type a text box unless you put it inside of the sticky note. So what I did was I actually used a tool called CoolText, which is a website, to create these logos, and then I just uploaded them, and so it looks like I've got text. Another option you can do, and this, if you don't have a touch device, in terms of a desktop, you can open up the Jamboard app on your phone, and you can use the touch feature on your phone in order to annotate and do math stuff. So I had teachers that were doing math problems with their students, but how about have your students model for you the math problems or the annotation? Okay. Let's see. Let's see here. I got a great question. I'm going to throw it up here. Is the Jamboard interactive in the virtual digital arena, or is it best for the traditional classroom? It would be both, in my opinion, depending on how you're going to use it. I have a number of my teachers that have been using it for their Google Meets because they wanted to have that whiteboard option, and the fact that it's collaborative because I can go up here and hit this share button, or I could have posted in my Google Classroom and I can give editing rights to those participants that I want to have access to it. So you could pass the ball and have a student be the team leader that runs it. So it works in a virtual setting, but also you could work it in use it in a live setting as well. Great question. Thank you so much. Look at this. I got South Carolina in the house. All right, Nancy, thanks for joining us from South Carolina. I guess I need to start doing a roll call for locations. I love it. I got a question here from Barbara says, I'm assuming you can create something and shared in Google Classroom, giving each student a copy. So yes, so technically the way Jamboard works is you could force copy for them, or you could have them share and have editing rights in it as well. Yes, great question. So again, Jamboard is probably one of my new favorite things because of that whiteboard option to being able to annotate and draw on it, and the sticky notes, because a lot of times kids struggle with being able to get type in the boxes and all, move that around unless you've already put them there. So this, because it's a sticky note option, makes it pretty cool. So if you'll notice, the other cool thing about this is that I have more than one page. So I can go to page 2, and page 2, I've added a background here. So it looks like a piece of notebook paper, and I've got pros and cons. And so now I can have students work in groups and have them put the pros and cons. So again, if we're flipping this and have this being an activity your students are creating, let them come up with the different tasks inside of the Jamboard, because they can go to jamboard.google.com and create their own jams. Okay. Great question about that. Love it. Look at this. Throwing it in there because I got Kansas in the house. Love it. Love it. Love it. But you know what? I'm going to give Sue a shout out, because Sue's here hanging out here in Georgia with me, not in my district, but in Georgia. So way to go. Awesome. So cool to see so many awesome folks here today. So how many of you guys are kind of excited to try Jamboard? How many of you have heard of Jamboard before? This is the first time you've heard of it. I'm just curious. Give me a yes, I'm super excited. Jamboard is like, you're ready to jam with Jamboard. I'm just curious. All right. Awesome. So the fourth tool I want to talk about, and using it in terms of collaboration and different projects. And I'm going to do it right here. And there's Shirley, my Canadian friend, all the way from Alberta, Canada. Love it. So docs, let's take a look at it. Ways you can use it. So I do a film project, lights, camera, action. And I got to be honest, I was super sad. First time in 11 years that we didn't get to do it because of COVID-19, but that's right. We're going to be bigger and better next year. But I use Google Docs for students to do their writing collaboratively, and for me to be able to monitor, because I support multiple schools in the district, and the ability to have them collaborate on their writing. That's the powerful thing. A lot of students are doing their writing in isolation. So having them write a script and work collaboratively on it is a powerful option. So I have tools like this Storyboard, and again, links are going to be included in the description. Here's a Storyboard task where students actually storyboard out with their team before they can film. So when I do a lot of film projects, like we did a project in 8th grade social studies, and the kids were talking about, and they wanted to kind of plan what their civil rights project was going to look like. And so they used a storyboard before they ever got their iPad, and we set up the green screen and all of that. You need to have a plan. And so this is one task. And then the next thing we did is also storyboarding out their script was, what is the who, what, when, where, and why, and how are you trying to accomplish your task? And like, so using a planner tool like this allows students to work either in isolation if it's a solo project or in collaboration with their colleagues, using the power of live collaboration. So I did have some students that did some collaborative projects over the summer, or I mean, excuse me, at the end of this semester before we got out for summer. For example, they used Flipgrid to do math tasks. They were doing TikTok style math tasks, but they had to collaborate. So they had to come together and plan, and using a template like this for them to plan like what we're going to do before we film definitely helps with the planning process. All right. I'm loving art here. So we got, I love this. Miss Nunnick says, thanks to you, I'm Jamboard savvy. I love it. Yeah, we did. Miss Nunnick and I did talk about Jamboard at the beginning of the year, beginning of the, I say year, the distance learning time, which was kind of like a new school year for everybody. That's awesome. Miss Clayton says, never used it and have lots of questions though. Awesome. I've got some kind of how-to use Jamboard where I've dived in a little bit more. The link to that video will be in the description. And if you have any questions, shoot me and let me know. Just say, hey, I have questions. Love this. Miss Oregon says, ready to jam. Look at this. We got all the way from Wisconsin. Fantastic. Thank you, Judy, for making it in from Wisconsin. This is so cool. Love that we have educators connecting from all around. So those are what we talked about. A couple other things I want to mention is I have a bunch of templates, and that's the other thing is I create a lot of templates, but you creating templates for your projects, but having your students create some templates, because sometimes they're really good at being design conscious on things. And maybe you could say, hey, what would work for you? What would be a template that would help you organize your thinking? What a graphic organizer or an infographic. So having templates that you can push out with your students. So I did mention CoolText, and I've been sharing this one a lot lately because it's such a powerful little tool that you can make animated fun text to easily bring in. So to your slides and into your drawings and into your docs. Yeah, Miss Hopkins says, yes, you love that you can put GIFs into Jamboard. That is correct. So GIFs can be added into Jamboard. They can be added into slides and into drawings. So I do that a lot where I'll pre-record a GIF so that I can have that in there for students to be able to see exactly like what the instructions were, where I've clicked and how I've done something, and they can watch it over and over again. For example, when I do an entire session on Google Drawings, I have 5 tasks and I've created animated GIFs that show you all of that. And so if you're not familiar with Google Drawings, those 5 tasks, you can give it a try. They're on my website, and I will share out that link as well. So I love CoolText just because I can bring in all sorts of cool animated text. Word art is fun, but you can jazz it up, and this works for all of the different ones. CoolText is a website, so it's cooltext.com. There are some other ones out there, but I've been using CoolText for so long. I created my Tech Tips 411 logo so long ago, I can't remember what the font was. So I love it. It's just really cool because you can do these animated ones, which is really cool to put, and you can customize any of these by colors or fonts, to match your colors. Love it. Nancy says, you've heard about Jamboard, but you're going to investigate more about it. Awesome. It's a super cool and easy to use tool. And for those of you that don't know, Jamboard was actually, the app was designed to go with a physical Jamboard that they would use, and that you could buy this interactive whiteboard. And then that was the app that went with it. And then Google said, the app's pretty cool. We should just make it available. And they are doing some updates to it. Hopefully that text feature is coming soon. Awesome. So for those that are asking about like other extensions you might want to try out, look, there's that animated GIF option. There we go. All the power of extensions. If you go down the rabbit hole, I apologize in advance, but you've been forewarned. There's tons and tons of extensions. I'm going to put the link down there as well, because there's some other tools you might want to use, like using Unsplash as an extension add-on to bring in really cool backgrounds for your designs and for your students' designs, and a bunch of other cool tools as well. So here we go. All right. Our goals were to explore projects using G Suite apps. Boom. Gain some project ideas utilizing those apps as well. Hopefully you did. Give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat if you got at least one good idea of something you could try with your student. Maybe I mentioned it for science, but you realize, oh, I could modify that for my social studies class or my math class. I'd love to know. Drop it in the chat if you found an idea or two out of this session. I would love to hear that. Any comments, questions? I'm going to give a moment or two for you guys to drop those there in the chat. I'm super excited that we've had so many folks tune in for today. This is the first time I've done this session. I talk about all these different projects at different times, but I'd never put them all into one session for us to talk about, which is definitely fun to do. I love talking about what the kids are doing and ways that we're trying to engage students. So if you haven't already checked out my website, Tech Tips 411 has a wealth of resources. I am going to include a number of links in the description for this video. And if you're watching on Facebook, I also will add it as well as a comment so you can grab it and take a look at those resources. I would love for you to do that. If you haven't already done so, please sign up for my weekly Tech Tips 411. That goes out on Tuesdays, and right now it's on hiatus because teachers are on summer vacation. It will resume at the start of school. For us, that's in the end of July. You should see your first session or first issue of, it'll be issue number 7. I can't believe it. I'm about to be starting year number 7 in this role, which I love so much getting to share with teachers. If you haven't already connected, I do have a Facebook page, Tech Tips 411, and some of you guys are tuning in live from there, which is awesome. And I think it would be super cool for you to connect there as well, because you can find resources there as well. And lastly, I have a mobile app. If you haven't already grabbed this, you should do so, because it puts everything that's on my website and my weekly tips in the palm of your hand. So I got a couple questions right here. This was great. You have so much to share. We'll have to watch the recording again. Awesome, Tara-Lee. Thank you so much. I appreciate you tuning in. And please share out. And I'd love to know how you and your teachers are using some of the project ideas. So once school ramps back up, share what you guys create. Let's see here. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Yes, I'll be online tomorrow at 2, and I'm going to talk about our session for tomorrow. And I got I will post this to the Facebook Live video as well. Yes, Sue, I will post the information there as well, because I love that I have people tuning in from both locations. So real quick here, I'm going to show you guys what we got going on tomorrow and the upcoming trainings here. If we haven't already connected, there's my website address. Connect with me at APS IT Gen. And we've already had, today was project ideas for using G Suite. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking all about Adobe Spark creation tools. We're going to talk about Adobe Spark post, page, and video. Super excited. Never done a session just on Adobe. So if you're interested in learning about those tools, definitely let me know. Tune in. Check it out. And so if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, so that you know when the next session is going to be available and you can tune in and check that out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been super fun. I really, really, really enjoy doing all this and having you guys tune in. And I will see you guys on the next one. Have a great day.